Hello students, welcome to my class and you are watching my channel A Journey with Physics. Today I brought for you part number 3, the class Ready to Win, which have began just a couple of days ago, and also I want to give you some information that in my channel there is a playlist on class 11-12 physics which is in Bengali version, and I recommend you to visit those classes and so that I get motivated always from you. So let's start for the today's class. Today is part number 3 and here is the first questions for you. So 3 equal charges each of +1 microcoulomb are situated at the vertices of an equilateral triangle. If F denotes the force between any two charges, then net force on either of the charge will be. The 4 options are given, and we know equilateral triangle means every side of a triangle is equal, and angle all three angles are same, that is of 60 degree. And according to given question, the force between these two charges is F, and also these two charges F, and between these two charges also F. So question says that then what the net force on either charge will be. I take this charge, and due to this charge, on this charge the force is F, and due to this charge on this charge the force is also F. So this force direction is in this way, and due to this charge the force acting on this charge, and the force direction is in this direction. So due to angle this 60, and here it is the angle also 60, so net force are root over of f square plus f square to ff cos 60, because we know the how to find the magnitude of two vector according to a triangle law according to triangle law of vectors. C equals to root over of a square plus b square 2ab cos alpha, and we know the value of cos 60 is half, then it is 3f square and root 3f. So correct option is B. So very easy problem. Now moving to the next problem. 3 concentric metallic spherical cells, focus on these words metallic, of radii r, 2r and 3r are given charges of q1, q2, q3 respectively. It is found that the surface charge densities on the outer surfaces of cells are equal. Then the ratio of the charges q1, q2, q3 are how much? The 4 options are given. Now the question says that the inner sphere has radius r, and the second sphere has radius of 2r, and the outermost surface has radius of 3r, and the 3 surface and 3 spheres are given charges, that is of q1, q2, and the outermost surfaces are given charge of q3. Now we know a process, electric induction. What is this? If we have a metallic rod, and then if we bring a charged rod near to this metallic rod, then opposite charges are induced near end, and like charges are induced in the far end or on the far end. So this process of induction is known as the electric induction. So the process is known for electric induction, and by this concept we can say if we have q1 charge on the outer surface of the inner sphere, then a minus q1 charge also developed due to the induction process in the inner surface of the second sphere. Then repeat once again. what did I say? I say just that if inner sphere has charge of q1 on the outer surface, then a minus q1 charge also induced in the inner surface of the second sphere, that is of radius 2r, due to the induction process. Then a charge also developed, that is a plus charge, plus q1 in the outer surface of the second sphere, So total charge on the second sphere on the outer surface is q1 plus q2. That is, we have written here the charge on the outer surface of r radius is q1, and the charge on the inner surface of 2r radius sphere is q1. Due to the induction process, a minus q1 charge is developed in the inner surface of the radius 2r radius sphere. So plus q1 charge also developed in the outer surface of the 2r radius sphere. So total charge q1 plus q2. Similarly, if we think that 2r radius sphere, the total charge on the outer surface is q1 plus q2, then a negative charge of minus q2 and minus q3 is also induced in the inner surface of the outermost sphere. Then, according to the also induction process, if the inner surface of outermost sphere a charge is developed minus q2 minus q3, then by induction process a plus q1 and plus q2 charge also develops in the outer surface of outer sphere, and previously a charge also is there in the outermost sphere q3. So total charge is q1 plus q2 plus q3. Now, according to given question, that all the outer surface charge densities on the outer surface, that is the charge densities on the outer surfaces of cells are equal. That means sigma r, that is the processes are also done here, and it is written in complete manner. So according to this question, sigma r, that is the charge density of r radius sphere, sigma 2r, that is the charge density of 2r radius sphere, and sigma 3r also follows same way. So charge density means the total charge by the total area of that sphere. So q1 is divided by 4 pi r square. Sigma 2r, the total charge is q1 plus q2 in the outer surface of 2r radius sphere. So, and its radius is also 4 pi 2r whole square, and it has the also charge as sigma 1 q1 plus q2 plus q3, and radius is 3r whole square. So by calculation we can write q1 by 1, q1 plus q2 by 4, and q1 plus q2 plus q3 by 9. Then taking these two parts, we find a relation 3q1 is equals to q2, and taking second and third part, we have found a new relation 5q1 is equals to q3. So it is the relation 3q1 equals to q2 and 5q1 equals to q3. So we have to find out the q1 is to q2 and q3. Then we have put the value of q2 and put here the value of q3. Then q1 is cancelled, and we have got 1 is to 3 is to 5. That is option of B. That is, the correct answer is option B. 1 is to 3 is to 5. Okay. So you can say it is very beautiful problem, and you can check it another time. Now moving to the next problem. It is a quite interesting problem and at the same time very important also. A disk of radius a by 4 having uniformly charged distribution of charge 6 coulomb is placed in the xy plane with its center at minus a by 2, 0, 0. A rod of length a having a uniformly distributed charge of 8 coulomb is placed on the x-axis from x equals to a by 4 to x equals to 5a by 4, and 2 point charges of minus 7 coulomb and 3c coulomb are placed at minus a by 4 and their locations are given. Now consider a cube formed by side A. Then you are asked to find out the total flux from this cube. So now we have tried to figure out what the question says. So we have taken a cubical surface of side A and we choose here the center. Then from this center the distance of either side is equals to a by 2, that is from this line y-axis it is a by 2, and from this line from this y-axis the distance also here a by 2 because it is the origin, and the total length of this side is equals to a. So here the 4 options are given. Now start to solve this problem. So now first focus on the circle and its position also. The xy plane with its center at minus a by 2, 0, 0. That means we can say the circle is on x-axis and negative. So minus a by 2 position, that means here, and the circle is situated on the x-axis and it has a radius of a by 4 with here the radius of a by 4. So a by 4, that means half portion of the circle lies outside this surface of cube and half portion lies inside this of cube, and the total charge on this cube, on this circle, is of 6 coulomb. 6 coulomb. So charge of the circle which lies inside the cube is 6 by 2, that is of 3 coulomb, because the total charge of the circle is uniformly distributed over this. So half portion lies inside, that means half charge also lies inside this cube, that is a cubical surface. That means the charge due to this circle lies inside is of 3 coulomb. Now moving to the case of rod. A rod of length A carrying a uniformly distributed charge of 8 coulomb and is placed on the x-axis from x equals to a by 2, a by 4 to x equals to 5a by 4. That is, here we have drawn the rod here. That is, the length of rod is equals to a, and the rod is situated from x equals to a by 4 to 5a by 4. That means this end is 5a by 4 and this end is a by 4. A by 4. That is, the portion lies inside this cube is given by this shaded region, and the length of this shaded region is a by 2 minus of a by 4, that is of a by 4, because the length of this line from this origin is a by 2 and the rod is shifted a by 4 distance from this origin. So the distance of the rod lies inside this cube is a by 2 minus a by 4, that is of a by 4. So we can write a by 4 as 1 by 4 into a. Why we have written like this manner? Because the charge is distributed throughout this rod over complete its distance a, and a by 4 distance lies inside this rod. That means 1/4 of the total charge lies inside the cube. 1/4 of the total charge lies inside the cube. So charge inside this rod, inside this cube due to this rod is 1 by 4 into 8, because of total charge of this rod is 8 coulomb. It is said in this given question. So is 2 coulomb is inside. And moving to the 2 point charges, minus 7 coulomb, whose position is a by 4 minus a by 4 comma 0. That means it is in the 4th quadrant. So the position of the 7 coulomb is here. That is of x equals to a by 4 and y equals to minus a by 4. That means 7 coulomb charge lies inside this cube. Now moving towards the 3 coulomb, whose location is here, that is whose coordinate minus 3a by 4 comma 3a by 4 is 0. That means it lies in the 2nd quadrant. And if we want to put this coordinate system, then we find that the charge lies outside this cube, because this distance is a by 2 and 3a by 4 is outside this length. So it is outside the cube. So total charge inside this cube is due to of this half circle, and due to this is 1/4 of the rod and minus 7 coulomb. So total charge 3 coulomb due to the circle, 2 coulomb due to this rod, and minus 7 coulomb due to the point charges. So total charge inside this cube is of minus 2 coulomb. So total flux phi equals to q by epsilon naught according to the Gauss theorem. So minus 2 by epsilon naught. So option A is your correct answer. So here it is option A. And left are false. Now moving to the next question. Which one of the following graphs represents the variation of electric field with distance r from the center of a charged spherical conductor of radius r? Now 5 options are given. So it is said in this question that the radius of this given sphere is r, capital R. Now in each graph you can see there is a point r which represents the radius of the given sphere. That means if you draw the center of the sphere at origin, then the sphere should be like this, because this distance is radius of the sphere, because this distance is r in the given question. So like you can draw here in this way, you can draw here in this way for this option D, and for this option you can draw, and for this you can draw like this. Now it is given in the question that the sphere or the spherical shape, the sphere is conductor, and we know very well that there is no electric field inside the conductor. That means no variation of this, that means there is no variation of electric field inside the conductor. That means option A, option D and option E are false. So option B are false, we can say at a glance, because there is a line inside the given sphere, because it is the radius of this sphere R. So left side of this R means we have in now inside the sphere, and right side of this sphere, right side of this distance R means we are outside this sphere. So we know that there is no electric field inside the conductor. That means there should be no line inside the conductor. So here is a line inside the below this left of this R radius. Here it is also. So A, B, D are false. Now options C and E can be correct, but we know from our definition of the electric field, E is proportional to 1 by of R square. So as distance approaches, electric field falls off is 1 by R square. Now in this given question, electric field, now from this graph we can say that the electric field is independent of distance R, because as R approaches to large value, the electric field also gets parallel to the x-axis. That means electric field is independent of radius or distance. So this is false. This is false. So correct answer is option C. So correct answer is option C. Okay, I hope you have understood now. Okay, now check it again. I hope clear now. So moving towards next question. Two positive ions, each carrying a charge of plus q, are separated by a distance d. If F is force of repulsion between the ions, the number of electrons missing from each ion will be. And here it is in the given question, the number of electrons missing from each ion. Number of electrons missing from each ion. So why number of electrons missing from each ions? Because due to the repulsion there is a process of electric discharging, that is of electrical discharging. So due to the electrical discharging, the ions gets missing from each ion. So sorry, the electrons get missing from each ion due to the progress of time. So now according to Coulomb's law, we can write the force between these two charge of Q, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by this square. That is, Q can be written of root over of F4 pi epsilon naught d square. Now Q in this form. Now Q can be written in this form. Now again we know from the quantization of charge, Q can be written as equals to plus minus Ne, where E is the charge of a single electron. E is the charge of a single electron. Now putting the value of Q here, and N can be written as this divided by E. So N root over of 4 pi epsilon naught F d square by E. So if E goes inside this root, so that means E becomes of E square. So correct option is option C. So option C is your correct answer. This is very easy problem. Now moving towards the next problem. That is, the figure below shows the electric field lines due to the two positive charges, and the magnitude EA, EB, EC of the electric field lines at points ABC respectively are related as. So here it is question, in this question a figure is given and four options are also given. Which of one is correct, we have to find out. We have to find it out. So now we have to remember that property of electric flux lines, that density of flux lines around a point means or gives the strength of electric field there. So where, that means where the density of flux lines is more or are more, that means the field strength is also high. So remembering that property, we can say around point C, the density of flux line is lowest among this A, B, C point. Okay. Now look at this B point and look at this A point. You can say easily the density of flux lines around this point A is or are more than the point B. That means the electric field strength due in this point is lower than this point, and among all of them the electric field strength EC at this point C is lowest among all. So we can say easily our correct answer is EA greater than of EB greater than of EC, because here density of flux line among all these points is largest. Okay, that means here the field strength is also largest. Okay, so now moving towards the next question. A pendulum is placed into the vertical upward direction of electric field. Find the time period of the pendulum. Mass of the bob is m and charge is q. That means a pendulum is hanging from this point of charge q and mass of m, and when this pendulum is placed in this vertical upward direction of electric field, then its time period is modified, and we have to find out that modified time period. And we know if the length of this pendulum is L, then the time period of this pendulum T is equals to 2 pi root over of L by G. Now, if we apply an upward direction of electric field on this bob of the pendulum, then two forces acting on that bob. One is due to the Coulomb force, F is QE, and another force is due to the gravity force. So the equation of the force acting on this bob is mg prime, that is of mg minus of QE, because of mg is acting downward direction, and the force due to the Coulomb force is acting on that bob is upward direction. So now the force are opposite direction but in one line. So the net force will be written in this form, mg prime minus of mg minus of QE, and we have denoted the resultant force as mg prime because the dominating force here is mg. So we can easily write the resultant force in this manner, mg prime. So g prime can be written, if we divided m on both sides, then the g prime can be written as in this form. So the new time period is t prime is root over 2 pi of L by g prime, and put the value of g prime here, then you can get the modified time period, that is of t prime, it is 2 pi root over of L by g minus QE by m. And this extra part has come due to the force applied here, or force acting on that particle on upward direction because of the placement of electric field in upward direction. Now if you are asked to do the same problem for the vertical downward direction of electric field, then you can write the electric field, then you can write the modified resultant force as mg prime equals to mg plus of QE, because of now mg and QE are in same direction and same line, because in the given question it is said that E is now vertically downward direction. So then the modified time period will be written as t prime equals to 2 pi root over of L by g plus QE by m, because the force is written in this form, G prime mg plus of QE. Okay, you can do the problem. Now moving to the next question. Previously, in both cases, you are asked to do the calculation of time period for the pendulum when a electric field is acting either in upward direction or in downward direction. But if you are not asked, the pendulum is placed in horizontal direction, that is, the electric field is placed in horizontal direction, that is of x direction. Now let the Bob has come this point due to some point of his oscillation period. So the two forces acting similar way, similar force but not in similar way. One force in vertically downward direction. So one force is vertically downward direction, mg prime, due to the gravity, as it is always acting in vertically downward direction, and due to the horizontal direction of electric field, a force is also acting on that bob is positive x direction. So resultant force R, if we say, then R can be written as Fe plus of Fg. Fe can be written as due to the Coulomb force, and Fg is due to the gravity force, and we know the Coulomb force QE and gravity force of mg. Then modified resultant force or resultant force can be written as mg prime, that is of QE plus of mg, and if we divide it on both sides by m, then we can get g prime as this. Now if we find now the magnitude of this g prime, then g prime can be written as in this form. Then the modified or the newly come time period t equals to 2 pi root over of L by g prime, and now put the value of g prime here. So this is your new relation of time period, t equals to root over of L by this part. So because of applying a horizontal electric field. Okay, so today I will stop here this class, and if you like this session, please hit the like button and subscribe button and share to your all friends. Bye, and see you again in the next video. तब तक के लिए जय हिंद।